This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some major update to share with you as inflation is straining everybody's wallets right now. The big question is, are we in a recession? We still can't get a straight answer from the White House or the Biden administration, but I'll play you a video clip from the White House economic advisor being grilled on Fox News about this very question and let you decide, what do you think, if we're in a recession or not?
Talking about trying to redefine recession. Why not just acknowledge that most Americans are having a hard time and commit to fixing it?
It's not done. We're not taking a victory lap. Our work is not done. But please do not dismiss the work.
And how this affects our daily lives, especially with credit card spending. Also, when it comes to stimulus, there is a deadline for $300 stimulus checks coming up soon, and I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So are we in a recession? It doesn't matter, Fed official says. I'm focused on the inflation data. Basically, if anyone ever avoids a question like that, it pretty much means we're in a recession. But looks like the Biden administration might get away with this whole semantic game of saying that recession has a different definition. What they're saying here is we're going to do everything we can to avoid a recession, but we are committed to bringing down inflation, and we are going to do what we need to do. So that seems to kind of be the rhetoric going on. In redefining recession, Democrats turn to fuzzy math and governing by gaslighting. So when it comes to fuzzy math, I guess, they're kind of changing what a recession is. If it was any other year or any other timing, we'd probably just be, yes, we're in an official recession. But things are different now. There's elections coming up. President Biden has low poll numbers. Democrats want to maintain the majority of Congress, of the House and the Senate. So because a lot of those factors are at play, things get fuzzy, things change, which is really funny how it works like that, how they care so much about maintaining their jobs and all that they're willing to lie to the American people just so that they could keep their jobs and all that. And it goes for both Democrats and Republicans. But when it comes to the Biden administration and their narrative, take a look at this right here. This is the economic advisor getting grilled on Fox News, asked these really tough questions. Take a look at his response right here.
Thank you. White House economic advisor Jared Bernstein joins me now. Jared, thank you so much for coming on. We very much appreciate it. Instead of, as Peter was talking about, trying to redefine recession, why not just acknowledge that most Americans are having a hard time and commit to fixing it?
Yeah, when the president talks about inflation, he very much is speaking in that spirit. He talks about the current inflation as unacceptably high. He talks about that as his #1 domestic priority. And trust me when I tell you that he dispatches his team to do all we can to help. And there's areas of the economy where we've actually seen some improvement, some help, but we have to do much more. Of course, gas prices are now down about 77 cents per gallon. Now, if you're a family with a couple of drivers, that can amount to $80 a month in savings. If you aggregate that up across families, it's about $270 million per day. It's not a victory lap, let's be clear. We've got to do much more. But one part of that decline in the gas price, it's a global price, there's a lot that goes into it, has to do with this president's release of oil from the strategic reserve. So we want to be clear that we're doing all we can. Many other measures, including some that are on the legislative docket that can help.
We should note that release of the supply is arguable. Going back to inflation, as Peter Ducey was saying, the White House is now saying that inflation is too high, that we got to get inflation under control. But boy, when it first started a year plus ago, inflation wasn't too high. Inflation wasn't real. It was transitory. So what's to stop the White House 3 or 4 months from now and saying, you know what? Boy, this recession thing really was real, and it's killing Americans. That's the whole point that people are trying to make is now you're saying recession isn't really happening, but then you said inflation wasn't really happening, and now it's too high.
So look, no one ever said inflation wasn't really happening. So I think you need to be
transitory, which means it's
very different. Exactly. So you have to be a lot more careful about how you're teeing this up. In fact, if you go back to January or February when we first got here, we talked about the fact that the American Rescue Plan was going to bring a little more heat back into this economy. Now, yes, We talked about inflation as something that we thought would be shorter lived than it has been, and that's in no small part because we certainly didn't see variants of the virus that are out there, and we certainly didn't see Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Now, if you look at today's inflation numbers, or if you look at the last CPI, you will see that about half of the increase in inflation is gas and food prices. Now, that relates directly to Putin's invasion. None of that means that we can sit here and just explain this. We have to do all we can to help. But to say this White House hasn't been emphasizing the challenge to families from elevated prices is just completely inaccurate.
What the American people see is the White House kind of pointing fingers, right? And it goes back to the old adage that you do not need a thermometer to walk outside and know that it is hot. And what we're saying is that there's this pattern with the White House that inflation wasn't really genuine, it was transitory. That gas prices were first the oil company's fault, and then they were Putin's fault, and then they were the gas station owners' fault. It's this finger pointing. What I'm saying is maybe it's time, because it hasn't helped in the polls, to really take ownership of these things and then try to solve them. Is that a fair assessment?
So we've done exactly that. So when the president says inflation is unacceptably high and it's my #1 domestic priority, he is telling his team, of which I'm a member, to do everything we can. So let's talk about what we've done and what we're doing. Months ago, we began to try to work at the ports, particularly Long Beach and LA, to increase the speed at which goods were getting from ship to shelf. That throughput now is just about back to where it was pre-pandemic. We helped to pass an open ocean shipping bill that took down the price of ocean shipping by about 11% over the past month. I've already talked about our interventions in the oil space in terms of gas. Now we have a bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, that will directly reduce family budgets when it comes to prescription drugs and health care premiums, as well as the purchase of clean energy goods and services. So, for example, electric vehicles. So I think it's, again, wholly inaccurate to dismiss the actions that we've taken. Now, the Fed is the first and foremost inflation fighter.
It's not the
but
actions,
we
sir. It's the
have also been
explanations the White
consistently
House
taking
continues
actions
to give.
to make a real difference in this space.
Right, but the people aren't feeling the actions. The people in some parts of the country are hurting, and they're not feeling the actions, which is why the president's approval rating is so low, which is why pessimism about the economy is so high, is they're not feeling the actions, and they feel a lot of finger pointing. I want to put this up because this is from a chief economist at Goldman Sachs, saying the following: while GDP declined for the second consecutive quarter, the official definition of a recession is a judgmental mix of levels and rates of change across several variables, most of which continued to expand in the first half of the year. It is that kind of gobbledygook, and you can see why people are so frustrated. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that the confusion that kind of conversation generates is problematic, and it's one of the things that we've tried to come out against by talking about what really matters to this president is not what you label this or that economy, it's how families are doing. And that's why he is fighting as hard as he can to ease price pressures in all the ways I've elaborated. Now, I want you to do me one favor. You've got microphones. Go ask people how they feel about a 70+ cent per gallon decline in gas prices across this country. Ask them if that's helped them at all. Ask them if that's a bit of breathing room.
But the fact that everything else is so high is killing them. That's the whole point. Is there's more money is going out than is coming in.
We're not taking a victory lap. Our work is not done. But please do not dismiss the work that we've done thus far and the actions that we've taken thus far to help the American people deal with these elevated price pressures. It is a big mistake on your part to dismiss the actions we've taken.
December 19th of 2000, President Clinton was asked about inflation or recession.
I want you to talk about the ports. I want you to talk about gas prices. I want you to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. I want you to talk about what this White House is trying to do to help American families deal with these price pressures, okay?
So what are your thoughts on that? Recession or not, people are suffering and need more help now than ever. It's a really dire situation for a lot of people. So as inflation begins to strain finances of young, low-income Americans, a lot of people are turning to credit cards. So consumers are using, Generation Z consumers and those with low credit scores are falling behind on credit card and auto loan bills and accumulating credit card debt at a pace not seen since before the pandemic. So basically, a lot of people don't have enough money to pay for food and bills, so they put it on a credit card. And with the Fed raising interest rates, those interest rates are going to be higher for credit cards. And then it's just going to cause a lot more problems down the line. So I could see this being a snowball effect, that it's bad now, but it's probably going to get a lot worse later on. For instance, credit card balances for people ages 25 and younger rose by 30% in the second quarter from a year earlier, compared with an increase of just 11% among broader population, according to a random sampling of 12.5 million U.S. credit files compiled by credit score company Vantage Score. Balances for non-prime borrowers or people with credit scores below 660 rose nearly 25% over the same period. So what this means is that people don't have enough money and they're putting it on credit. And when the credit is due, this could pop another bubble and cause more problems for the economy. When it comes to stimulus, what's being done about it? So help coming, deadline fast approaching for $300 direct payment, with tens of thousands of Americans still to apply. How to get cash. So this is going on in Delaware. For residents of Delaware, the state is providing residents with $300 to help with rising gas prices and groceries. So it looks like that they sent out a round of $300 checks, but now there's still people who haven't received it yet. So they're going to the DMV, they're cross-referencing social security numbers and all that. So if you live in Delaware or know anyone in Delaware and you haven't received that $300 check, you have to go to the Delaware website, de.gov/rebate, to claim this stimulus check, because a lot of people are still eligible for it, but they have not received it yet. So be aware of that, and also stay tuned for any other type of stimulus check programs that you would have to apply for, such as this Delaware one. They don't just, some of them send it out automatically, other ones you have to apply for it. So got to pay attention to that. Your state or your area might be next on the list, but I'll keep you updated on that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully cheer you up a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day. So I actually woke up Bella doing this video. You can see the bed right here. She was actually sleeping, but I really wanted to give this news to you in this video. We're actually staying at a family member's house, so Bella and I slept in the same bed together. Bella, you want to give the tip of the day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. And what you should always do, you should always be together with someone. You should always have a friend beside you. You should always have someone right next to you, because they might be lonely and you should always be with them. So that's all I wanted to say. So bye.
And that was just 2 minutes after waking up. Good job, Bella. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your time and support with the YSLice community. Thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing, and just being a part, hanging out with the crew. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.